So right now, as I speak, No Time to Die is having its premiere right here in London, and I thought this would be a bit of a fun video to do in terms of the seven 007 films you must watch before No Time to Die. I know I'm a bit too late in dropping this video, but you know what? It is what it is, and I thought this would be pretty awesome. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. 7. Beginning with You Only Live Twice from 1967. Yeah, Sean Connery was fed up at this point and wanted to leave the role of 007, but it's set in Japan. It's awesome. It's actually one of the more faster moving Bonds of the 60s. The screenplay was written by Roald Dahl, so take that as you will. And Connery looks fine. He's great. He's got some great quippy one-liners. And making his on-screen debut with his very white cat that never leaves his side, it is Donald Pleasance as
Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
6. And now we move to 1973, Roger Moore in his best Bond, which is Live and Let Die. And it kind of takes advantage of the blaxploitation of the films in that decade. And Moore is just suave, he's confident, he wears a Casio watch. Why? I don't know, but he does. And again, he's got some great one-liners. Jane Seymour makes her Bond girl debut as Solitaire. She's not only stunning and beautiful, but she does give the villain a run for their money. Now, speaking of villains, Yaphet Kotto as Mr. Big. I mean, the one time that Bond is called a honky.
My name is James is for tombstones, baby. Y'all take this honky out and waste him, now.
I mean, that is just the price of admission alone. So on my recommendation, Live and Let Die. It is a fantastic time, brilliantly edited, and also the first Bond film to feature the use of the word shit. I kid you not. 5. Now moving on to the Timothy Dalton era, so we begin with 1986 and The Living Daylights. Timothy Dalton for me is probably my favourite James Bond, but I'm still out on that one, so I can't wait to rewatch these films again. And you know, when they talk about Bond being a bit, he's not very sensitive towards the woman, and he's always abusing his power as a seductive male, I don't know, charlatan to get his way with them. But I tell you what, the Dalton films kind of address that, because Timothy's version is more about the action, just getting down and dirty with it. In fact, from what I remember, he only sleeps with 2 women in the entire film. And then following on from that, 1989, License to Kill, the first and probably only Bond film to receive a 15 certificate, or maybe even a near R rating in the States, because it was violent, but it was damn good at that. But honestly, License to Kill, badass. Timothy Dalton, he's just great. You know, Timothy Dalton's 007 was so impactful on pop culture that Jason Segel in I Love You Man, starring Paul Rudd, even mentions him as the ultimate Bond. So there, take that and eat it, Sean Connery.
You look ridiculous, man.
Well, what am I supposed? How can I can't look. Think Timothy Dalton. Oh, T. Dalton.
Oh, hey, that's pretty good.
3. And moving on to 1995, Pierce Brosnan makes his debut from Remington Steele to 007, directed by Martin Campbell. This film is fantastic from start to finish. In fact, I remember an ex-friend of mine was saying at the time that to him, this was the most perfect Bond film ever made. And to some degree, that is still true. It's the only thing that's missing is the Aston Martin that we only see at the beginning, but we don't see it again. It's replaced by a BMW Z3. Not a bad looking car, but we didn't get to see the Stinger missiles until the sequel. But Brosnan is just, he is charisma all over. He wears the Omega watch, which I'm pretending to have here now, but I used to have that, the Seamaster. That made me fall in love with that brand and that watch. I love it so much. But yeah, if you haven't seen GoldenEye, what are you waiting for? It inspired that awesome N64 game. 2. And of course, we get to 2006 with Casino Royale and Daniel Craig making his debut as well, and in fact actually rebooting the series from the start. So from the very first 10 minutes or so, we get to see how Bond earns his 00 status, and it is badass. Speaking of badass, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden does the theme track, and it is completely awesome from start to finish. Seriously, if I've used the word awesome more than once, I can't help it, but it is seriously a fantastic Bond song. Probably my favorite Bond song of all time. And that is saying something considering the competition that Chris has to deal with, like Tom Jones and Shirley Bassey and Carly Simon, you name them, but I think Chris really eschews all of them in one big massive one. And then I'll end this 7 of 7 Bonds with Skyfall. Yes, I could have gone for Spectre, but I think Skyfall is the film that really stood out for me. 2012, it's the Olympics. It all tied in with Daniel Craig making that quick appearance in front of Her Majesty and her dogs. That was a pretty awesome moment. But Skyfall, directed by Sam Mendes, the guy did a really fantastic job. He understood what Bond was. It's a pretty dark Bond theme because obviously if you have seen the film, you know that this is M's last role as played by the great Judi Dench before she was succeeded by Ralph Fiennes as the new M. It's just awesome, it's heartbreaking, it's funny. It was the time when the Bond actually found his ways to deliver lines and to do the old physical quips on the screen. I love it. The underground chase sequence on foot is fantastic. Sam Mendes really knew how to set those scenes up. So that's been it, guys. My 7 of 7 Bond films you should watch before No Time to Die. And I don't know if this video is going to be 007 minutes. If it is, great. If it's not, then shoot me. But if you enjoyed this video today, please leave a like below. Do give it a subscribe, and I'll see you on my review for that new Daniel Craig film when it comes out in 48 hours time.
He's keen to get home.
Open the door, please. Open the door.